we don't need to go through this whole. It's only 6 minutes, but we can make.
It's only 6 minutes.
For us. I already know. For us, that's an hour and a half worth of content. So let's check this out.
I believe that everyone is operating in good faith, and I just want us to be very
You like
careful.
a baby, don't it?
With that, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez.
Testicle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Earlier, my colleague from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, asked the panel how many people here believe that child separation is an effective policy in deterrence. And no one on the panel raised their hand. I just wanted to note that for the record, Mr. Chair. I wanted to ask a question from Professor Mukherjee. Is the United States violating or violated human rights agreements set by the United Nations in a family separation policy?
Yes. International law is clear that family unity should be prioritized.
So we, as members of the United Nations, signed on into an international human rights agreement saying very clearly that family separation is a violation of international human rights, and then we pursued a policy that violates human rights.
Hey, boy, send them all back.
You know, Mr. Chair, I was looking, how did we get to this point? How did we get to this point where we take children out of mothers' and fathers' arms? And, you know, it dated back, family separation in the way that we have seen it, where we take children away from their parents without due process, began last year under Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, but I had to dig further. And our staff dug further. But where did this start within the administration? She implemented it. And we found a memo. It dates back to April 23rd of 2018, where there was an official recommendation to, quote, pursue prosecution of all amenable adults who cross our border, quote, illegally, even though this applied to legal asylum seekers in practice, including those presenting with a family unit between ports of entry in coordination with DOJ. Here is the memo that I would like to submit to the congressional record.
What's the name of that?
It is the memorandum for the Secretary from Homeland Security.
Date?
April 23rd, 2018, subject increasing prosecutions of immigration violations.
Without objection.
And so I looked at this memo, and it seems like this is the source of it. And it seems as though, Mr. Homan, that you are the author. It says here from yourself, Kevin.
Choose the words carefully, right? She said author.
Mikalinin and Francis Cisna. Is this correct? Did you sign the memo?
I'd have to see what you.
Yeah, give it
I'd be happy to provide it. And we'll provide it over, but I would like to note that here it says the official recommendation. There were 3 different options presented. The third included the option for family separation.
Is this the hearing for him being the border czar? It's like, because you know they got to go through like a interview process with the Senate, something like that. I don't know. I can't particular, but I assume y'all probably know what I'm talking about. Like, you know how all Trump appointed people have to go through like a clearance check to say make sure they get ears? Is that what this is?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I just want to ask a question.
Yeah, I just heard the conversation and I was like, get up.
Separation. This initiative would pursue prosecution of all amenable adults, including those presenting with a family unit. Mr. Homan, your name is on this. Is this correct?
Yes, I signed that memo.
So you are the author of the family separation
I
policy.
am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yes.
Is there a difference between signing something and being the author of it?
Yes.
Okay.
A zero tolerance memo.
So you provided the official recommendation to Secretary Nielsen on family for the United States to pursue family separation.
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but
the date right there say July 12, 2019. I don't know.
Recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation, of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as it is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance.
She ain't had nothing to say. She ain't had nothing to say.
I know what you're trying to get to. Go and get to it,
Tolerance
bro.
was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their.
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman, with
family.
all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're in the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Hey, boy, I told you, boy, he ain't for none. I don't care. Hey, I sent that in the group. I say, boy, get your shit together, boy. This boy ain't for none. And he following the law. You can say what you want to say. You can say how you want to spit it. He's following the law. The man ain't for none, bro. Boy, hey, man. Hey, man, leave that man alone. Do what you're supposed to do.
Mr. Chair, the memo is submitted to the record for review. Inspector General Costello, one last thing. Is there a record, based on reports throughout the year and in our hearing earlier this year, we spoke with Ms. Juarez, a mother who lost her child due to inhumane conditions in the facilities. We learned that there is no accurate record and no policy being held of people who are pregnant and people who endure miscarriages. Is there a record of who enters and leaves these facilities?
I'm not familiar with the instance you're talking about, but I do believe the facilities keep custody logs and logs, but I'm not familiar with the incident you're talking about.
And where would we find those records?
I believe all the facilities keep them on site, CBP and ICE facilities.
And if you believe that the
like
records
Will
are...
Smith from Hitch.
Yeah, she look like when Martin fought Tommy the Hitman. She look like Gina when she hit.
Hey, it's fucking head, boy. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. So what was your question on that? Are we good with that?
I think it's something that he hasn't said yet.
not accessible, or if we find that the records are not accessible, do you believe the committee should seek to request records from DHS on the location of children and those that are detained?
Well, we would never opine about what the committee would request and not request, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Presley.
No, I guess he said it already. But so you said you know what I was getting at. What was I getting at?
What he was saying, like, I don't know in particular. I just had an idea about that.
So this is one of the few times where I heard AOC speak, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me why she's going so hard for immigration and why is she switching up his words and trying to make it seem like something is that it isn't. Right? So like like in that video, she said, "You are the author of this paperwork or whatever it is, this document."
No, I didn't sign it.
I signed it. So somebody, like, why are you trying to spin his words like that? I don't get it. And why are you going so hard for immigration? Like for instance, she said it is legal for people to seek asylum in the U.S. or whatever she said in the video just now. Mm-hmm. He never said anything against that. He just said do it the right way.
Right. Because 99, they literally said that 99% of the people that's seeking asylum, turns out that they don't show up to court, the asylum seeking court, and they're just over there. And a lot of the stuff, a lot of their claims turn out to be, when they do come to court, a lot of them turn out to be untrue. It's unfounded, rather. Can't say it's untrue, but it's unfounded. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what is that saying? Saying y'all just, y'all saying I'm seeking asylum, but y'all just coming. I mean, it's nothing to say I'm seeking asylum just to come over here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they start the process.
Yeah. But then once you over here, That's kind of, I don't know.
And one of the things that I've heard in these conversations is people try to use their children as a loophole.
Right.
Right. They'll
anchor baby,
get pregnant get pregnant and travel over here while they're pregnant, then have their baby in the U.S. So their baby will be a U.S. citizen. So, but in order to save themselves from being deported, they'll have their baby over here.
Right.
And use that as a loophole for them to stay here.
But can't get mad at them because your government allowed.
Part of the game. That's what you say?
I don't get mad at people finessing loopholes. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I don't necessarily get mad at it either.
Tighten them up.
Exactly. Tighten up the legislation.
Yeah.
It just bothered. Well, for one, I like this clip because he said he paid attention to her words and it made it clear what his intentions were or whatever it is that she was trying to mix up, and she didn't allow her to mix up what his intentions were, whatever it was. He specified, said if they want to, just like if her rhetoric is not in this particular video is not separating children from their parents. Well, the issue is their parents put that risk into play when they came over here illegally. That's part one. And then part two, he just said, like I said before, just do it the right way. Like what was the question you asked earlier? It was like, is it easier to do the right thing or the wrong thing or something like that? The doing the wrong thing comes with its own long-term repercussions in itself.
Yep, that's why people do the right shit. Because it's gonna be always a wheel turning. There's always gonna be something that's gonna come behind it or something like that. It's always something. Like when you do the wrong thing, you gotta cover that up with another wrong thing. You gotta lie. You gotta keep up with that lie with another lie. You gotta keep up with that lie with another lie. But if you just would have did the right thing and told the truth, everything will be all good.
And done it the right way from the start, you'll be cool.
It'll be cool.
There's going to be some things that you go through in the process, but it's going to be in the long run. It'll be worth it because you won't have any issues. Now, one thing I think about though is she talks a lot about separating in that particular clip. She talked a lot about separating kids from their parents, and then he came back with the analogy: if I get drunk and I get pulled over by a police officer and my child is in the car, I'm going to get separated from my children.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. Like she didn't have a comeback to it because she knows that that's right. She knows that that's the proper way to think about that. So I don't understand how she would run and have all this smoke for him and his thought process on the separation of children from their parents when it comes to illegals, but she doesn't think that about American citizens.
Is it because they look like her, probably, you think?
Honestly, that's my thought.
Just asking a question, I don't know.
That's my thought process. Because
I think that's one of the, like, a couple times I done actually saw her. I've always heard of her. I've always seen bits and clips, but I never, like, really sit there and listen to her talk. But is it because you think she look like her?
That's her people.
Oh, okay.
I think that's my thought process. That's the only thing that makes sense as to why she would go so hard for it.
Read them comments. Go on and on about this.
Let's see. Be Humble said, only 6 minutes, LOL. Be Humble said, someone shut the Puerto Rican up. OG said, y'all know too much about the immigration game. Y'all illegal.
I was going to say something, but then I got a passport.
OG said, y'all got passports verifying your U.S. citizenship? Yes.
Facts.
3 stamps on mine. I want to get more. Be Humble said she is Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I seen she from the Bronx.
The sanctuary city, right? Like New York?
Well, she Puerto Rican. It don't matter. She Puerto Rican. It's part of the U.S.
Yeah. She from the Bronx, though. I was just looking at her.
All right, so that was all I have for today, man.